saṁstabhyātmānam ātmanā jahi śatruṁ mahā-bāho kāma-rūpaṁ durāsadam. Lord Kṛṣṇa is saying to Arjuna, thus knowing oneself to be transcendental to material senses, mind and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should study the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Kṛṣṇa consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. So here Lord Kṛṣṇa is telling Arjuna how to conquer the enemy, śatruṁ. So we were learning yesterday that there are 6 enemies within us. There are enemies within and without. Within our body there are enemies. And what are those? Kāma, krodha, madha, moha, matsya, and ahankara. So Kāma is lust, anger, greed, enviness, madness, illusion. All these are enemies, an ego. So Lord Kṛṣṇa is telling that first enemy is lust, Kāma. And we can win this by Kṛṣṇa consciousness, engaging the mind in service of Kṛṣṇa. And we can get this spiritual strength. By spiritual strength, we can conquer this enemy. Lust cannot be conquered artificially by external show. It has to be demonstrated. It has to be defeated by internal strength. If you externally try to become a sannyasi, but internally if the lust is powerful, then sannyas will not be successful. Similarly, if you really want to progress on the path of bhakti, we have to have inner strength, which is spiritual strength. And that is only possible by spiritual intelligence, which is the intelligence given to us by Lord Kṛṣṇa's teaching of Bhagavad-gītā. In Purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, this 3rd chapter of Bhagavad-gītā is conclusively directive to Kṛṣṇa consciousness by knowing oneself as the eternal servitor of Supreme Personality of Godhead, without considering impersonal voidness the ultimate aim. So here Srila Prabhupada is saying that our original identity is we are servants. We are dasa. So somebody is servant of family, somebody is servant of community, somebody is servant of country. Everybody is serving someone. But we are ultimately serving Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa is the supreme spiritual master and we are the servant of that spiritual master. In the material existence of life, one is certainly influenced by propensities of lust and desire for dominating resources of material nature. So in the material world, everybody wants to be the master. Nobody wants to be the servant. Everybody wants to be the boss. But it is not possible. Because even though you become a smaller boss, you become the servant of the bigger boss. Like suppose you are a supervisor, your boss is the manager. And then the manager's boss is department head. And the department head's manager is, say, vice president of the company. And vice president of the company, there is another boss, like that. So if you take the boss of the boss of the boss of the boss, ultimately you will reach to Kṛṣṇa. So in the material world, but everybody wants to be the boss. And when they are trying to become boss, then they have these 2 problems. One is lust and the other is desire to dominate the material resources or material nature. Want to exploit as much as possible. That is the quality of a boss in the material world. So Kṛṣṇa doesn't want to exploit us. Kṛṣṇa wants us to be happy. So Krishna, he is the ultimate Supreme Personality of Godhead, ultimate spiritual master. And what does he do? He supplies us all the necessities, water, air, sunlight, food, everything is supplied to us by Krishna. He doesn't exploit us. He doesn't take anything from us. But the smaller bosses in the material world, maybe a small supervisor, manager, so whatever it is, even policeman, he wants to exploit you. They will ask money or something from in some places, not all the places. So there are people who wants to dominate. The desire for overloading and for sense gratification is the greatest enemy of the conditioned soul. But the strength of Krishna consciousness, by the strength of Krishna consciousness, one can control the material senses, the mind and intelligence. So in the material world, the greatest enemy here written is the desire for overloading and sense gratification. So this is very important. So what is the desire for overloading? Desire for overloading means you want to be the dominating factor. Everybody wants to be recognized. Everybody wants to be at the top. And sense gratification. Sense gratification means they just want to have their form themselves, nothing for others. So that is the greatest enemy. There is no other enemy as strong as this desire. Collecting more than required. If you, this is called atyagraha, which means that whatever is your requirement, you want more than that. If you can eat only 2 rotis, they will have 10 rotis in their plate, in case required emergency. Like that. They don't know what they are doing, so they collect more and more and more and more. But this is the enemy. Why? Because they do sinful activities because of the sense gratification. But by the strength of Krishna consciousness, one can control material senses, mind and intelligence. What is Krishna consciousness? Krishna consciousness means that accepting Krishna as the ultimate authority of everything. Krishna bhoktaram yagna tapasam. Krishna is the ultimate enjoyer, ultimate master of everything, and we are here to serve Krishna. So that is the ultimate desire. In that consciousness, which is Krishna consciousness, if we serve Krishna, then we will never do sinful activities. One may not give up work and prescribed duties all of a sudden, but by gradually developing Krishna consciousness, one can be situated in transcendental position without being influenced by material senses and mind, by steady intelligence directed towards one's pure identity. So now somebody may say that I will give up all the sense gratification, but that is artificial. So Prabhupada ji writes here that all of a sudden artificially should not give up everything, but gradually using everything in service of Krishna, one will develop detachment from sense gratification, and slowly one will become pure. This is the sum total of this chapter. In the immature stage of material existence, philosophical speculations and artificial attempts to control the senses by so-called practice of yogic postures can never help man towards spiritual life. So some people, they try to do yoga, pranayama, breathing exercises, but it is not possible to control the senses by yoga postures. People who do yoga, they are not able to control their senses. They do yoga here and then they go and eat meat or kill animals or do all sorts of sinful activities. So that sort of thing is not useful. Or they do yoga here and then outside they will cheat others. Or they will do yoga here but they will do something else. So they are not able to control the senses. Controlling the senses means controlling the anger, controlling the greed, controlling the lust, which is not possible for them. It is only possible with accepting Kṛṣṇa as the supreme spiritual master. One must be trained in Kṛṣṇa consciousness by higher intelligence. Then only one can control the senses by higher intelligence. Param drishtva nivartate. Artificial, if you try to do, then you will fail. But if we can do it through the higher intelligence, then only one is successful. In this way, this is the last shloka of the third chapter of Bhagavad-gītā. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of third chapter of Srimad Bhagavad-gītā in the matter of karma yoga or discharge of one's prescribed duties. Srila Prabhupada